श्रुति स्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Mohan Sai, we'll chant from number 14. Namam karmani limpanti
नमां कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति
नमे कर्म phale spruha
न मे कर्मफले स्पृहा
iti mam yobhijanati
इति मां योऽभिजानाति
कर्मभिर्न स बध्यते
कर्मभिर्न स बध्यते
एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म
एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म
पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः
पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः
कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं
कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं
पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतं
पूर्वैः पूर्वतरं कृतं
किं कर्म किमकर्मेति
किं कर्म किमकर्मेति
कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः
कवयोऽप्यत्र मोहिताः
तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि
तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि
यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्
यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यम्
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यम्
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येत्
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येद्
अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु
स युक्तः कृत्स्नकर्मकृत्
स युक्तः कर्म कृत्स्नकर्म कृतः
स युक्तः कृत्स्नकर्मकृत्
स युक्तः कृत्स्नकर्म कृत
So we were discussing this shloka, Karmanya Karma Yah Pashyet. An important shloka. Since we are following Adi Shankaracharya's commentary, we go along with him. We follow his thinking. And because he spends a lot of time on the shloka, we are also spending a lot of time on this. Karmani akarma yah pashyet. This is what we are looking at. And akarmani cha karma yah. One who sees inaction with respect to action and action with respect to inaction. It seems very awkward and very controversial. And how can you see inaction as action and action as inaction? This is very strange. So that's how it is. Vedanta is a bit strange to begin with. But for the people who are thinking, it's not strange. It is it. It is the answer to everything. Okay. So it's easy. It's not difficult. Vedanta, I don't claim. Some people say it is difficult and all. I don't agree with that. It's not difficult at all. Now, so last class we talked about this idea of knowledge of this Atma being Akarta, and we saw that this knowledge and error cannot coexist. Error means ignorance. Ignorance and knowledge cannot coexist. We saw that last time. Then briefly, the idea of surrender came, and this idea of Sharanagati, surrendering, very important concept in our Shastram. And then we analyzed in the context of Vedanta what is the meaning of surrender. Who is surrendering what to whom? This question has to be addressed. And we can't simply say surrender your ego and then we walk away from there. We can't do that. Vedanta means we have to analyze everything properly. And so we saw that surrender can it does not mean giving something like you give something to somebody. You return, okay, I surrender. I stole something, I surrender it back to the police. Okay, I surrender myself to the police. All this is possible. I can surrender my body to the police, but the ego is not surrendered. I'm surrendering some object to somebody else. That's possible. But what belongs to you, I can't surrender it to the police. So I will come to your house and then I take your TV and then say I surrender I surrender his TV to you. That is not allowed. That is not acceptable. That becomes another case. So so in that context, we said, this surrender has to be an attitude. It cannot be a physical action. We saw that the attitude that everything is given to me, including the body. It's a beautiful attitude. I am the trustee of this body. The minute I begin to see this whole thing, and Yajna Shishtashina Santaha, and we saw that in the last chapter. So those who offer yajna to this world, to this cosmos, and then consume what remains. Very beautiful attitude. That's how they used to live their life. And so this offering becomes a big thing. That that is where we can bring the idea of surrender. Then the surrender. What I'm doing is surrendering the idea that I am the most important being, even though from one perspective that is correct, but But in order for me to see Ishvara, all pervasiveness of Ishvara, Bhagavan, I must reduce my ego. I must sublate my ego, my ahankara. And so for that, this idea of yajna was talked about last class, last chapter. Okay, we discussed all this. And then we discussed that the meaning of the word buddhiman, manushyeshu, the person who understands the realities is the buddhiman. In this case, the reality being Atma is Akarta. And therefore, in whatever actions that are being done, I see the Atma as Akarta. That is the vision of the wise person. That person is a buddhiman among people. Among all people, that person is a buddhiman. We saw that. So, if Atma is Akarta, if we go back to the Vedas is a voluminous text, and it's voluminous. And we are studying this Taittiriya Brahmanam, and we are chanting, learning to chant. And that Taittiriya Brahmanam is a small portion of the Yajurveda, and Yajurveda is a small portion of the entire Vedas. And this Taittiriya Brahmanam, that book is this thick, and you need a separate bag to carry that book. Okay, so that's how it is. And these kids are all just chanting it from left to right, and just like that, they're chanting without even looking at this book. And Swamiji will scold us. He'll say, so what happened? Sabuddhiman Manushyashu. It's not Manusyashu, it's Manushyeshu. So some mistake on the other, even though looking at it, constantly looking at it, still we make mistakes. And so this Veda, which is so voluminous, who is it meant for? Who is it addressing? It's addressing the human being, no doubt. Okay. And so what kind of human being? It's addressing the Karta. It is addressing the Karta. It cannot address Atma, it is Akarta. Atma is just Atma and all pervasive Atma. And Vedas doesn't demand anything of the Atma, cannot demand anything of the Atma. It is addressing the Karta. So like Swamiji gives the example. 3 people are walking, and then you say, "Hey, Parvati," and who will look back? So Vikram is not going to look back. Only Parvati is going to turn. Somebody is calling me, Parvati. Okay, so Parvati only will respond. Other people will not respond. They may respond just to as a they are companions, so they may respond. That's different. But Parvati, come here. So Parvati comes there. Okay, so Parvati only responds. So here also, hey Karta, what do you want? I want a baby. I've not had a baby. I'm not able to get a baby. Okay, no problem. I have an idea for you. You should do Putra Kameshti. Not easy to do. With Shraddha, you have to spend some money, and then with Shraddha, if you do, then you will get a child. Okay. So Veda is offering all these ideas to us. To whom? To the Karta only. To the Karta. Now, suppose then you got a Jnani who says Atma is Akarta. I am Akarta, he says, I am crystal clear about it. The Veda says, hey Karta, come on, do your Sandhya Vandanam in the morning. Who will this Jnani respond to that? Jnani cannot respond because the Jnani is not a Karta anymore. And so he cannot respond, just like Vikram does not respond to the call to Parvati. The Jnani does not respond to the Vedas. So suddenly the Vedas becomes non-existent as though to the Jnani, non-existent as though, because it's not for me. Remember that shampoo advertisement. The bald person is never going to be excited with the latest shampoo, right? They're not interested anymore. And okay, ad goes, and everybody else is watching, but this guy has no interest in that shampoo. Like that. The Veda is addressing the Karta, and the wise person. The Vedas does not apply to the wise person. Very important. Only Sanatana Dharma, you got this kind of thinking. Go outside, tell the Bible does not apply to some persons. That idea does not exist at all. So here we say the Vedas itself says, no, you are now everything that you're supposed to do, you've done, and you have gained whatever you're supposed to gain, and so you are a Jivan Muktaha. Jivan Muktaha, you're a sannyasi. You can take sannyasa if you want, and if you take sannyasa, then you have no duties also. Otherwise, duties are there. A wise person, but a person is a grahastha, means grahastha's duties will be there. So then Sandhya Vandanam, etc. has to be done. That person has to do. And Agnihotradi karma, all Tarpanam, everything has to be done. Because that person is a grahastha. So ashrama decides what a person does. Even though the person is a jnani, knows very well, I am not a karta, but I still have to do, I have to play certain roles. And so we call it abhasa karma. We call it abhasa karma. It's like playing a role. It's like playing with children. And you play ball with children. You don't get anything out of playing ball. You're not there to claim that I'm a great player. No such thing. You're not learning to play better. Nothing. You're playing ball because the child wants you to play ball. You're at this moment. She throws the ball at you. You catch the ball and you give the ball back. That's it. Playing a role like that. The jnani, who's not a sannyasi, also plays a role. They have to play a role. And but then for a jnani, the Vedas does not apply. And then the question arises, what about Karma Yoga we studied recently? Does Karma Yoga apply to a jnani, to a wise person? What is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is an attitude with which I lead my life. All my actions are done. It's an attitude. The attitude that Ishvara is all pervasive. Tunalim Murpan, Turmulim Murpan means whatever is there is Ishvara. Ishvara is manifest as this Jagat. And I can develop that attitude by doing things as a yajna, by looking at this world as yajno vai Vishnu. Hey, this whole Vishnu is all pervasive and yajno vai Vishnu. And so whatever I do is a yajna and I'm offering it to Vishnu. If I start visualizing my life like that, then that's a very mature attitude. And there is ecological balance. I will not hurt the environment, which I can if I am unaware of these ideas. And I won't say things like the world is meant for me. The world is meant for me, the earth is meant for me. No, that's a wrong idea. So that karma yogi who has this Ishwararpana buddhi and prasada buddhi, whatever I get is a prasada. And then I thank Bhagavan for whatever I get and for whatever I should not have and I don't have. Okay. I don't want baldness and I'm not bald. Thankful. Prasada only. Because baldness and this hair, black hair, colored hair, all these things is not in our control, really speaking. It's all given. And it's all given. It's like you've taken the boat and the boat is just going. You can row here this way, that way a little bit. But you really can't control all these things. And so prasada. Happily take it as prasada. And Swamiji used to say this, this complex about age in America is a big thing. Because it's there everywhere, I suppose. And it's covering up wrinkles. And closely go and put all this, some kind of color and powder and all that. And so cover up all wrinkles. And he says, why you cover up wrinkles? In India, we wear it very proudly. People will come and do namaskaram to you. Oh, namaskaram, Anna, Appa, Mama, Tata, will say, and then do namaskar. They will give namaskars to you. Wear your wrinkles proudly. Every wrinkle speaks so much. And why are you covering up your wrinkles? And that shows how complicated we have become. And so this karma yoga is there. And the question is, the karma yoga is meant for me alone, for that human being. It is meant for me. And once that knowledge is gained, then what is the use of karma yoga? There is no longer attitude. The attitude has been replaced by knowledge. Attitude is replaced by knowledge. Understand that. Previously, attitude. What attitude? Bhagavan is everywhere. All pervasive Bhagavan. Atma is all pervasive. Now what? I know that Atma is all pervasive. Everything that is here is me. Everything that is here is Ishvara. That's amazing. And so, therefore, that attitude is no longer needed. Therefore, Karma Yoga is no longer needed. You can say Dhyanam also is no longer needed. Technically, you can say all that. Because all the means have found their fulfillment. And therefore, the Jnani does not need Karma Yoga. And that is why in the 17th shloka of the 4th chapter, Yastvatma Ratireva Syat Atma Triptascha Manavaha Atmanyeva cha Santushtaha Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. We saw that just a few shlokas ago. We saw that. So Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. For that person who is an Atmaratihi, who is an Atmatriptaha, who is happy being oneself because one knows that one is Ananda Swarupaha, for that person, Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. Nothing remains to be done for that person. Nothing remains to be done, period. What about hunger? Doesn't he or she have food, lunch, dinner, etc.? No, that will go on. Sharira maintenance is there. Sharira yatra pichyate na prasiddhyat akarmana. So Sharira yatra, but that person, dharma, artha and kama, nothing. Doesn't need anything. No more artha, no more security is needed. Yeah, basic protection of body, some security, some shelter is needed. But not, there's no more idea that I am insecure. Therefore, when that idea itself is not there, then tasya karyam na vidyate. Nothing is done for the sake of becoming secure. No more becoming secure. Okay. So the person is free to do a lot of things. Free to do a lot of things. Look at that. The wise person is free to do a lot of things. Previously, a lot of things are done in order to become adequate, in order to become better, in order to become free from all kinds of problems. But now all actions emanate from that freedom, from that purnatvam. And so, so the person's will, free will has no place. Make a note of that. Free will for a jnani has no place. No free will. This is kind of strange. Free will, which is what makes us the human being so different from the animal. Free will, and that free will itself we say is not there. Not there means what? It's everything is done krita krityaha and krishna karma krit. Therefore, from that perspective, there is no will to become something or become somebody or accomplish this or accomplish that. And everything else happens, and the person may have desires. I want to do this. I want to help some people locally. I want to teach, and I may want to travel in order to teach, etc. All these ideas may come, but we say that jnani has no free will per se. And Swamiji adds, Puja Swamiji, that is why sannyasis do not leave any wills. Like that is, he jokes. And what will is that to leave? I leave my ashram to so and so people. And Swamiji says, if the sannyasi has taught everything properly, then everybody is an institution. Everybody is an ashram into herself or himself. Therefore, there is no question of saying this person is better, that person is better. Well, for management purposes, there may be a need for a leader, and some Swami, we also have all that. But Swamiji has maintained that tradition that there is no such thing called hierarchy. This hierarchical organization based setup is not there. You won't find this in Arsha Vidya Gurukul. Hierarchy is not there. I mean, it's there in the sense, yeah, senior student is there, all that is there. But each person is free to do what they want. I started an organization because of that only, that idea that is given to us by Swami. Otherwise, in other organizations, a student cannot simply start an organization, start teaching, not possible. We get blessings from acharyas, no doubt. They ask us to teach, therefore we teach. That is always there. But you can't, you are a subsidiary of organization X and all that. That idea is not there. And so, so these are some of the ideas we bring here. And So it's important, even just if you compare Sanatana Dharma to other religions, this idea is very much there. Sanatana Dharma has no, they say there's no head, no leader. Ashramas have heads, okay. But Sanatana Dharma itself, Roman Catholicism has a head. It is in Rome, Vatican. So there is a Pope there sitting, and Pope is the head of the entire Roman Catholic religion. Pope is the head, and whatever he says or she says can't be a she, it has to be a he. And so whatever he says has to happen. So there is a papacy, there is a diocese, there is a parish, and then there is a congregation at the local level. So huge setup. If you remove that setup, Christianity will collapse. Christianity relies on this setup. Okay, and so such a thing does not exist in Sanatana Dharma. And so therefore, for a jnani, once the account is closed, once the akartritvam of Atma is understood, it is as good as the bank account being closed. Then what do you do with all the remaining checks that are there in the checkbook? What do you do with that if the account is closed? It won't work. That check will bounce, and therefore, same thing here also. There is no free will for the wise person, and because the jiva's file is closed. And that is what is meant by this word kritsna karma krit in the shloka. Kritsna karma krit. And one who has done everything that is to be done. One who has accomplished everything that is to be accomplished. That is why that person is called a Jivan Muktaha. While living, that person is free. Muktaha. Jivan Muktaha. Okay. Now Shankara brings in an important objection. And there is, we said earlier, the Vedas is broadly divided into two parts. The first part is called Karma Kanda, a very elaborate portion which talks about do's and don'ts, which talks about rituals to accomplish your dharma, artha, and kama. You tell me what you want, I will tell you 10 rituals to accomplish that. Okay, so that is how the Vedas is written. And one Veda expounds on the Yajurveda is a book of rituals, and then the Samaveda talks about it in a musical fashion. And like this, Rig Veda is a book of rituals. Yajurveda expands on that. Like this, Veda is all there to satisfy our Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, and Kama. That is called Karma Kanda. Karma being the world of action, being open to anything. Karma Kanda is elaborate, very elaborate. Because what a human being wants, only the human being knows. And no two wants are identical. And so you buy a home, and then home you must be looked in a particular way. Your rooms must be in particular order. The color inside the home must be in a particular way. I don't like this. Husband says I don't like this. Wife says this is beautiful, and children jump in, and nobody can agree on anything. That's why. That's because that's how it is. That's how it is. And so Karma Kanda is elaborate. And then what we are studying is Vedanta, which is Jnana Kanda, the portion also called Vedanta, the end portion of the Vedas. Now, the person who studies the Karma Kanda and believes and analyzes that Karma Kanda is called a Purva Mimamsaka. Purva Mimamsaka. Purva means before, prior, former. Purva Mimamsa. So Purva Mimamsa refers to Karma Kanda. And the one who analyzes that and takes that as a pramana for moksha is called Purva Mimamsaka. Like that, then what about Vedanta? Yeah, Vedanta is Uttara Mimamsa, Uttara Bhaga, latter portion. Former portion is called Karma Kanda. Jnana Kanda, Vedanta is called Uttara Bhaga. And the analysis of the Uttara Bhaga is called Uttara Mimamsa. So when somebody says Uttara Mimamsa, they are referring to what you are studying, Vedanta, analysis of Vedanta, like we are doing here. Okay. So that person, Purva Mimamsaka, his view of moksha is different, his view of the jiva is different, his view of Atma is different than the view of Atma we have studied so far. Okay, so Shankara brings that person here, and Jaimini Maharshi. Jaimini Maharshi was the one who wrote a commentary of the Karmakanda, and so Athato Dharma Jignasa, like that it starts. Dharma Jignasa, and so he gives priority to Dharma. Therefore, the desire for Dharma is there, and therefore Karmakanda is there for you. Dharma means Punyam and Papam in this case. Vyasa writes Brahma Sutram, which is a commentary, which is an analytical exposition of Vedanta. And he says, Athato Brahma Jignasa. That's how the first sutra is. That's how it starts. He starts Athato Dharma Jignasa. Jignasa means desire to know. So, desire to know about Dharma, desire to know about Brahma. Look at the difference there. Okay. And so, what does the Purva Mimamsaka say? He says, yeah, Veda is a pramana, no doubt, for everything. Veda is the pramana, it's a means of knowing, and it's a means for moksha. Okay, no doubt, number one. Number two, the Vedas enjoin me to do karma. The Vedas are meant for me to do karma. Nitya karma, naimitika karma. Vedas are meant for me to do karma. Only number three, karma alone can give you moksha. Karma means that ritual, those things the Vedas asked me to do. And those days, Vaidika means it's a very ritualistic life, meaningfully ritualistic life, no doubt. But those rituals have to be done. And only if you do that, you get moksha. This is the thesis of the Purva Mimamsaka. Okay. And performing karma is the only way for moksha. Now, what we say is, well, let's discuss the Purva Mimamsaka a little more, and then we'll come back. And so he said, then you ask him, wait a minute, what about all this Tattvamasi and all these statements that are coming in the Upanishads? Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi. You are that. You are that. What is that statement? Is it a statement that makes you do something? A statement that makes us do something, it's called a vidhi vakyam. Vidhi. Vidhi means a command. Vidhi. So that's why in Sanskrit we have something called vidhi ling. Vidhi ling means that something that commands you to do something. So command, verbs that command you to do something. So swarga kamaha yajeta. Yajeta. It's a vidhi ling. So the one who desires to go to heaven must do this yaga. This homa must be done routinely. And so therefore yajeta. Okay. So all these words will be kartavyam. All this anything kartavyam means must be done. So the stavya, vidhiling will be used. Other are nisheda. Nisheda means prohibition. Don't do. Suram na pibet. May you not consume alcohol. May you not consume alcohol. Okay. Okay. That's called a nisheda vakya. Don't do. Prohibitions. Do's and don'ts. That's all Vedas is about. That is what he claims. And what about these statements called Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, etc.? Tattvamasi is an equation. Tat, Tvam, Asi. Tvam, you, Asi are that, Tat. You are that. Now, you are that. Is it a Vidhi Vakyam or a Nisheda Vakyam? If you ask, is it a statement that commands you to do something or commands you not to do something? Well, it is neither of those. It is neither of those. I can tell you, hey, thanks for visiting us. Please leave the shoes outside and walk inside. Means I'm asking you, I'm requesting something of you. And you come home, we have a thing. Please have lunch before you leave. Let's enjoy lunch together. Please have lunch. So it's a request to do something. All these are requests. And here, please take some fruits and let's have some fruits. So there is a request to do something. And At home, there's a constantly request. Children are there, constantly commands are there. No, you can't do that. No, time's up. Get up in the morning. From morning, get up onwards. There is a lot of commands being issued. What about the statement 2 plus 3 is equal to 5? That's also a statement. The teacher makes that statement in school. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Well, it is not a vidhi vakyam. It is not a nisheda vakyam. Correct? It's not a statement of command. It doesn't create, it doesn't invoke the karta in me. It doesn't make me do anything. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 is a statement of fact. And the child has supposed to understand that equation. Understand it here. No action is going to help. Many actions may be done in order for the teacher may make the student stand up here. Two boys are standing up here. 3 girls are standing up here. Count now how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you understand now? 2 plus 3 is equal to 5? Yes, I understand. So finally, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 is a statement to be understood. Likewise, Tattvamasi, you asked the Purva Mimamsaka, what about Tattvamasi? What kind of statement it is? No, it is not a Vidhi Vakyam. He says, no, it is not a Nisheda Vakyam. It is not an action that prohibits me from doing. It's not a statement that prohibits me from doing. He agrees with that. Then what about that statement? It's meant to support our Karma Kanda. It is meant to support Karma Kanda. We will use it if needed, but it's not important for us. Tattvamasi is not an important statement for us. It's useless. In fact, I'm happy to say it's useless because it doesn't make me do. Vedas is supposed to make me do karma. Any statement that does not make me do karma is there for some reason, and it only you can use it as a another nut or a bolt to the whole system, and it's like a paint for the car. It's not essential. Okay, that's what he said. That's his idea. Purva Mimamsa. Who is this guy? This guy is called a Purva Mimamsaka. Who is analyzing the Purva Mimamsa or Purva Bhaga or Karma Kanda? Okay. Now, and so he says his plan for moksha is this. There is something called Nitya Karma and Naimittika Karma. Okay. Nitya Karma, Naimittika Karma. You heard this all along, and I don't mind repeating it once again. Nitya Karma means the Vedas, the Vaidika has daily karmas to do. A brahmachari also, once the person gets initiated into the Vedas, and once the person gets that sacred thread, immediately there are some daily rituals to do. That's it. Nobody can stop. Those girls were also doing it. They're getting the thread, but for some reason or other that got stopped, and so only boys were getting this Upanayana. But all people who are Vaidikas have to do karmas, and after marriage, it increases even more. Both the wife and husband are involved in all rituals, all Agnihotras, all Tarpanas, everything they are involved. And both of them are involved. This has to be done. So this is called Nitya Karma, daily karma, and Naimitika Karma. So Grahanam Ityadi, all these eclipses time, special occasions, there you have to do certain rituals. And so they are called Naimittika Karma. So he says, here is a plan for moksha. You do all your Nitya Naimittika karmas exactly like the Vedas tells you to do. Number one, you do it without fail. Then, do not do any Kamya karmas. What is a Kamya karma? Kamya karma is an action to fulfill a specific desire of yours. This Nitya Naimittika karma does not fulfill any specific desire of yours. It is you're doing it because the Veda says I must do it. Correct? Whereas Kamya karma means I have specific desires. I have desire to buy a phone. I have desire for all these so many different things. All that is there. Then what about? Then he says Kamya means you have to avoid. He says you got to be careful. If it is your own desire, then you don't fulfill it. It is best for you not to fulfill it. And what about helping people? I like to help my community. He says, no, don't do that. Why? Why should I not help people? He says, if you help people, you will get punyam. And if you get punyam, you will get another birth. Therefore, you make sure you don't get any punyam. Make sure you don't get any papam. That and don't hurt anybody also, because you can get papam. Therefore, be careful. Don't hurt anybody. Don't help anybody. This is this guy's plan. Why? Because he knows very well about this punarjarma, and he knows another birth will come, because if punya is there and papam is there, another birth will come. Therefore, do not do any action which will give you either punyam or papam. Okay. And therefore, once you lead a life like this, you will get moksha. There won't be any other birth. Now, some of you can, I think you can ask the question now, is this a guarantee for moksha? If I ask you, you can easily analyze it, and you can say how this plan will not work out. You can analyze, because you should ask the question, what about all the sanchita karma that is waiting? Okay, let's assume I followed this your recipe, and I did not gain any punya and papa in this birth. What about the punyam and papam that I've gained that is there in my bank? Karma bank, correct? That question will come, because that punya is there and that papam is also there. It's going to cost me to have another birth. That question you should ask. And but Shankara does not ask that question. Okay, that I just mentioned that. And so here, so he says, keep doing your nitya naimittika karma and have your meals, etc. You have good food, take care of your body, and then that's it. After that, you're going to get moksha. Don't have to worry. That's his plan for moksha. Now, how can a person get nothing by doing an action called nitya naimittika karma? This question will be there. Shankara asked this question. Karma means action, whether it is a Vedic action or whether it is a non-Vedic, Laukika, a worldly action. Every action has to have a result. So Shankara asked the question: How can an action, which is all your yagas, all the rituals you are doing, how you can claim that those actions will not produce a result? That's what Shankara is asking. In fact, it already produces one type of result. What is that? these rituals, especially fire homas, etc., there's a lot of smoke generated, and this smoke is going to, it's going to, your eyes are going to tear, and it's not comfortable at all. And if you have to sit for 1 hour, it's not easy. And it's going, so he calls it pida. So the sharira pida. So there's going to be all kinds of things. That is very obvious. Every action has a drishta phalam, minimum. There is a drishta phalam. So how can you say there can be no phalam? And how can you say it does not produce punyam? If you do nitya naimittika karma, Veda says you get punyam. And you are saying you do this karma because the Veda says you should do it, and you're saying it will not get you punyam. That is not acceptable, Shankara says. Okay. Now, to that, the Puru Mimamsaka responds. He says, no, Shankara, you don't understand what I'm saying. Look, do you take bath every day? Yeah, I take a shower every day. I take bath every day. Okay. What result does it produce? In fact, if you don't take bath every day, then people will start noticing 1 day, 2 days, if not 2 days, third day. And then at least even if you don't notice, people around you will start noticing. You may not notice. You are happy, go like, I'm saving water. I'm saving the environment. Yeah, you're saving the environment, but you're killing me. That is my problem. So others will start noticing. And so, and there what? You take bath. And then you take bath, you come back to your normal state. You come back to your normal state. Nothing is produced. Only if you don't do, things are produced. That is his logic. He says, don't do any other karma. Nitya naimittika karma, you do, you won't get any punyam and papam. And in fact, if you ask him, why should I, if I don't get any result out of this Nitya Naimitika karma, why should I do? If you ask, then he says this example he gives. And if you don't take a shower, if you don't take bath, then you're going to have all kinds of problems. And that is the logic I'm using. He says that if you don't do Nitya Naimitika karma, you're going to get papam. What are you going to get? Papam. And if you do, what do you get? You get nothing. Zero. So karma produces no result. Not doing any karma produces a result. Correct? That is his idea. That is his idea. So therefore, he says, that is how I'm going to interpret this shloka. Karmanya karma yaf pashyet. Karmani nitya naimittika karmani akarma yaf pashyet. Akarma, one who is able to see that there akarma here means no result in action. Karmani, when I perform this nitya naimittika karma, there is no result. I don't get anything, and I don't want anything also. Okay, you don't want punyam? No, I don't want punyam. So that karmani akarma yaf pashyet, akarmani cha karma yaha. And if you don't do that nitya naimittika karma, akarmani, one who sees that there is karma phalam. What is that karma phalam? Papam. I did not do my daily sandhya vandanam, therefore I am going to get papa. This is his theory. And he has nicely explained the shloka now. Karmanya karma yah pashyet, akarmani cha karma yaha. He's explained it very well. And so that's his interpretation of this shloka. And then the Siddhanti, the Vedanti says, wait, this doesn't make sense. How, if you say that if I do some action, there is no result, then really speaking, you are saying Atma is not a karta. Only an akarta cannot produce results. In order not to produce results, another option is Atma must be akarta. Then he says, no, Atma is not an akarta also. That is another problem. He puts a contradictory statement that Atma is a karta. You cannot change that fact. That's it, period. Atma is a karta. Then the Vedanti says, if Atma is a karta and you are doing karma, that result has to be there. Whether you like it or not, there has to be some result. This is the Vedanti saying. And then why should I perform? And the other point is, if there is no result to any of these actions, then why I should perform any action? Not performing an action also should not give me result. And he says, no, that's not so simple. If you don't do this, you will get papam. You will get papam. You are going to get papam and you will go to hell. Okay, this is his idea. So here Pujya Swamiji's favorite. So he says, this heaven-hell idea is introduced. And this is why many people go to religions. And not because they love God and all that, and because they are afraid of hell. This hell is painted. We also have hell idea. So Atala, Vitala, Sutala, and then Mahatala, Rasatala, Talatala, Patala. We have the 7 nether worlds, 7 upper worlds and 7 nether worlds. We also have that. In fact, Vedas is the one that proposes all these things. And from there only they got this idea of hell. And hell is painted. A picture of hell is painted. It's hot and it's burning and this and that. They make it so bad that people say, no, whether I go to heaven or not, it doesn't matter. But I don't want to go to heaven. And so he says this heaven-hell idea is there. And that is why most people do what they're doing. And most people are religious and all that. And that's because they want to escape hell. And without this, if you take heaven and hell out, then what remains? Then he says religion will topple. No religion will survive. Because if heaven and hell there's no fear of going to hell. And I like what I'm doing here. Why should I? This itself is heaven. I'm already in heaven, in fact. Who are you to offer me a better heaven? I'm okay. I don't need to believe you and go to some heaven. Okay. So this is great. Life is great. So, therefore, this Purva Mimamsaka says, no, you cannot refrain from doing the Nitya Naimittika karma because you are going to get papam, and therefore you must do it. And Shankara says, look, what you're saying violates pramanam, violates all the laws that are there. In fact, let's read what he says. He says, look at that. He says, asataha sat janma pratishedat asataha sad upattim bruvata asat eva sad bhavet. I'll explain this to you. Asat eva sad bhavet, sat cha asat bhavet iti uktam syat. You are saying that by doing action, you do action, but no result is obtained. That is pramana virodha. And he's saying, from by not doing anything, I'm going to get papam. He says. Shankara says that's not acceptable. It's like saying asataha sajjayate. From something that is non-existent, you are producing something. Existence comes out of non-existence. That is the meaning. Inaction produces result. Even a physicist cannot accept that, and even a scientist cannot accept that. And so he says, Tacha ayuktam, it's not tenable. Why? Sarva pramana virodhat. It is against all laws. All laws of nature, scientific laws, non-scientific laws, everything it's against. So what you're saying is against reason. That is what Shankara says. Sarva pramana virodhat. Okay. And so there is going to be some result or the other. And doing an action will definitely have a drishta phalam. Not doing an action also will have a drishta phalam will be there. For example, suppose somebody wanted a meal to eat and I had the ability to give him the meal and I did not give it. I can come home and I can have a guilt. I did not do it. That is drishta phalam. That is drishta phalam. Not having done something. But then Shankara says you cannot get papam out of that. Very interesting. Very interesting. If you help a person who needs help, you get punyam. But if you do not help, you won't get papam. He says. Why? Because inaction cannot produce a result. Other than drishta phalam, which is okay, I may feel bad that I did not do. I may feel bad I did not give. I may feel bad I did not teach. I could have taught that boy something. So like this feeling bad will be there. So this is a very important idea that Shankara is introducing also. He is formalizing something which may be different from what we have thought about. Okay. What we may think we know. Okay. So that idea is saying, and so sarva pramana virodhat, this what you're saying is not acceptable. And he's saying another objection. Vedanti is saying, he says, you're saying karmani akarma yaf pashyet, one who knows that. One who knows that doing nitya naimittika karma will not produce any result. And not doing nitya naimittika karma will produce papam. That person is a kritsna karma krit. Means what? One who has done everything that is to be done. Correct? Krishna karma krit. How is that possible? You are saying that this knowledge is there, and based on the knowledge, you continue to do nitya naimittika karma throughout your life, and at the end of the life, you get moksha. Therefore, how can you say the one who knows what you just said is a kritsna karma krit? Not possible. It must be kritsna karma with. With means one who knows everything about all karma, kritsna karma, one who knows, and thereby leads a life based on that formula you have given. So you must be a kritsna karma with. With means to know. The word with in Sanskrit means with jnane, in the sense of knowing, knowledge. So you can say krishna karma with, one who knows. But Krishna says krishna karma krit, one who has done everything that is to be done. No, he's not one who has done everything is to be done. In fact, he has a lot of things to do. Every day the person has to do karma. Therefore, there is a contradiction there also. And also in number 16, he said, what did he say? Krishna said, Kim karma kim karme kim akarmeti kavayopyatyam mohitaha tatte karma pravakshami yad jnatva mokshese shubhat. Yad jnatva. Jnatva is, that word is very important. Knowing which, that, knowing what? Knowing about the karma, about akarma and vikarma, knowing it, you will be freed. How knowing something, you should be freed? Karma is action, you must supposed to do it. Knowing something, then I can do it. If I know the recipe of how to make gulab jamun, I will do it. And then I can enjoy gulab jamun. Knowing about karma is not freedom from karma. Therefore, so yad jnatva, when Krishna says mokshase ashubhat, yat kritva, he didn't say yat kritva. Yat kritva. Kritva means what? Having done. Correct? Kritva. He doesn't say yat kritva. And yat nitya naimiktika karma kritva. He didn't say yad jnatva. He said. So knowing, you know that karma, karmani akarma yah, akarma asti. Akarmani karma asti. If you know that, you're free, like that Krishna said. Like that, another objection is raised. Okay. So this is the analysis where Shankara takes a particular interpretation of the shloka and refutes it. So what was the, just to recap, what was the view of the Purva Mimamsaka? How did he interpret this shloka? Karmani akarma yaf pashyat means what? Karmani means in action. In what kind of action? In the daily nitya and naimittika karmas that are recommended by the Vedas. In those actions, they do not produce any result. Akarma there should be interpreted as akarma phalam. Akarma phalam. Absence of result. There is no result. As long as you do what the Veda says, you will not get any punya. Then what about the other statement? Akarmani karma yaf pashyet. In the absence of performance of those rituals, karma phalam yaf pashyet. Correct? Karma phalam. If you don't do it, you get a karma phalam, and that karma phalam is called papam. You get papam. One who knows that is a kritsna karma krit. There also we have a problem. We saw that. Krishna karma with would have been better in that case. If Krishna had said that Krishna karma with, then I can accept your interpretation. But here there is another problem. I have a second problem. I cannot accept that interpretation. So like that, Shankara writes in his commentary, and this is called Vakyartha Vicharaha, a technical word we use. So what does the sentence really say? What is the intention behind what Krishna says? A big analysis. So our whole Shastram is based on analysis. We are not afraid of questioning. We are not afraid of questioning. I gave a talk 2-3 weeks ago to some school teachers. And about some, I went back to history and talked to them a little bit about our history, historical accomplishments, and why we none of this is being mentioned in our history textbooks, and because of which we have lost the initiative, we've lost the agency. We're always looking for somebody to tell us what to do, and now you have the ability to decide your future. Like this, I gave them a lecture. Then I asked them the question. See, this is Vidya Bharati school, and it's a Hindu school. Okay, so I asked them finally the question: what is the connection between what I said and Hindu Dharma? Like that, I asked them the question, and so we had a little discussion there. And is there a connection, etc. So I told them, one thing I told them is this: an invention can be done by anybody. You don't have to be a Hindu to invent something. No, any invention can be done by any human being. Religion has no role to play. I told them the role to play, the only role, Christianity has always been afraid of science, afraid of inquiry. That's why there's always a conflict, constant conflict between Christianity and science. And we never had that conflict. And those days, there was an index of prohibited books. And can you believe that? The church published an index of prohibited books. And these are the books you can't study. You should not read. It's heretical. It's against theology. It's against Christianity. And we don't have any such problem. So I told them that's the connection between Hindu Dharma and science. If you say, yes, the connection is there. Not that you have to be a Hindu to make discoveries or inventions. The connection is that Hindu Dharma and science are not opposed to each other. They are happy being what they are, because our Dharma is also based on analysis and based on inquiry, based on the knowledge of fundamentals. So I was just reminded of that. So we will conclude that. We are done with the shloka, and the next class we will go with the next one. Number 19. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha yanagni dagdha karmanam tamahuhu panditam buddhaha. So we analyzed over the last few classes this shloka number 18, karmanya karmaya pashyet, an important shloka, because Atma being akarta, being the thesis of Vedanta. And so this akarta means a non-doer. And so doership becomes an important topic for us. And so karma, action, inaction, these words have to be properly understood. So Bhagavan Bhashikara, Shankaracharya spent a lot of time on this. And so we were also blessed to analyze that shloka. We'll continue this discussion in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.